The Magic of Adumasa. The sun rose over the village of Adumasa, igniting the sky with hues of orange and gold. The morning calm was punctuated by the excited chatter of marketgoers, their laughter mingling with the aroma of sizzling plantains and spices wafting through the air. Among the bustle was Abena, her eyes alight with purpose, as she fretted over the final touches of her latest creation. A luxurious wig spun from the silken strands of local weavers and the tiniest hints of herbal magic she had learned from her grandmother. She dipped her fingers into the intricate curls, admiring how the sunlight caught the natural sheen. Each wig she created felt like a piece of herself, a connection not only to her craft but to the lineage of strong women who had come before her. Today, the village elders would gather for the annual festival, an occasion when colors erupted in glittering dance and music, giving life to the vibrancy of their culture. It was the perfect moment for her grand unveiling, the first that promised a touch of magic. As Abena pinned the wig onto a mannequin, the contours of its face skillfully adorned with ornate beads, Kofi burst through the doorway, his presence a whirlwind of energy. "Abena, you wouldn't believe the mischief I was getting into at the market," he exclaimed, swaggering over. Abena chuckled, the tension easing from her shoulders. Kofi was almost like an extension of her own personality, bold, humorous, and always seeking adventure. He was tall, athletic, with a mischievous twinkle in his warm brown eyes that clashed beautifully with his wild curls. Some might call him reckless, she called him the best kind of trouble. "Are you here to help or distract?" she teased, hands on her hips, watching as he examined the wig. "Both, I suppose," he grinned, his gaze sweeping over the intricacies of her work. "This is beautiful. You should show it off at the festival. Everyone will be raving about you." "Do you think so?" Abena replied, her voice laced with uncertainty. "What if they don't like it? What if they think it's just too much?" Kofi stepped closer, tilting his head as he studied her, as if peeling away the layers of doubt. "Come on, Abena. It's absolutely stunning. You have to believe in your craft. This village needs to see the magic that's within you." His words lingered in the air, a soothing balm against her insecurities. Abena felt the flutter of excitement, keen mingled with apprehension. This was her chance, perhaps the moment when she would finally step out of the shadow and into the spotlight. Later that afternoon, as dusk painted the horizon, the colorful stalls sprang to life at the festival. Vibrant fabrics decorated every corner, and laughter echoed loudly against the earthy backdrop of the village. Abena stepped cautiously through the throngs of people, the weight of the wig resting gently in her hands, her heartbeat quickening with each few steps. Kofi appeared beside her, the two of them a striking contrast, his mischief against her calm demeanor. "Let's find the elders. They will appreciate your talent." With Kofi's encouragement, they approached the central square, where the village elders seated themselves on a platform, their wisdom apparent in the lined faces that glowed with pride. Abena took a deep breath and stepped forward, lifting the wig to display it. As her voice rang out, the crowd fell silent. The beauty of her creation caught the attention of many, and as she spoke of her vision, how the wig represented not just beauty, but the essence of every person, it resonated deeply. Kofi stood to her side, his eyes glistening with admiration, silently supporting her. Just as the weight of the moment reached its zenith, a loud commotion erupted from the fringe of the square. A group of kindred souls had brought a storyteller, spinning tales of ancient legends, laughter, and perhaps mischief. Amid the intrigue, Kofi received a wild idea. "Abena, why don't I try it on?" he said, a reckless smile hinting at his anticipation. "Imagine the village's reaction." "Are you out of your mind?" Abena gasped, but the excitement in his eyes was infectious. Could there be magic behind his dare? "Just once. For the fun of it," he insisted, the energy in his voice sparkled with mischief. Before she could say nay, Kofi slipped the wig onto his head, the curls falling around his face like tendrils of moonlight. Laughter erupted among the crowd, some whispering in delight, others cheering Kofi's antics as he posed and exaggeratedly admired himself before the elders. The atmosphere shifted, as a strange flicker of something newfound rippled through the crowd. Was it laughter? Confidence? Abena's heart raced, caught in a tidal wave of unease mixed with curiosity. Perhaps this wasn't just a wig, it could be so much more. As the laughter washed over him, Kofi felt different. The wig seemed to whisper secrets, a weaving of tales that stretched beyond him. Under the glow of the festival lights, magic began to brew, and what they didn't realize was that this moment would serve as the precipice to a journey that would test their friendship, their identities, and the very essence of who they were meant to be. The transformed world was about to unfold in ways both thrilling and daunting, and from that moment on, nothing would ever be the same in Adumasa. The Whispering Wig. As Kofi paraded around, the wig bouncing with his every exaggerated gesture, Abena felt the crowd's laughter swell like a wave crashing against rocky shores. With each chuckle, her heart danced between pride and panic. Kofi was a natural entertainer, but she understood the weight of what had just shifted. This wasn't merely a jest anymore, it was something else entirely. Kofi relished the exhilaration, gracefully channeling the energy of the wig. He flipped his head, allowing the curls to cascade like a waterfall, and the village erupted in laughter, eyes sparkling with delight. But as he looked around, he caught snatches of peculiar expressions. The elders' faces transformed from amusement to something akin to wonder. It was as if they sensed the power lying within the seemingly whimsical creation. "Don't stop now, the crowd loves you," Abena called out, a smile tugging at her lips despite her concern. "Of course. I think I'll be a star." He struck an audacious pose, arms spread wide, soaking in the admiration. As the festival continued, Kofi found himself oddly entranced by the wig. It felt like an extension of himself, each curl a connection to the layers of emotions from the people he met. Perhaps it was just the thrill, he reasoned, but something deep in him stirred, a whisper that seemed to echo with the stories once hidden within. Abena sensed this mystique but shook her head slightly, alarmed at Kofi's growing confidence. She glanced at her grandmother's eyes among the elders. They were both proud but riddled with caution. The last thing she wanted was for the wig to transform Kofi into someone else entirely. As the night progressed, the stories floating through the air surrounded them, weaving lines of connection that brought their community together. In the corner of the square, abounding with drums and dance, the storyteller, Oma, began unfolding her narrative. Once upon a time, she sang, voice melodic as honey, there existed a magical wig that transformed the hearts and minds of those who wore it. Kofi, seized by sudden exhilaration, rushed to gauge the reaction of who he had become. "Imagine if I could harness this power to do good," he proclaimed, voice booming through the festive clamor. "I could be a champion of our village's dreams." The crowd roared, clapping to the rhythm of the drums, caught up in Kofi's infectious enthusiasm. Abena's sense of caution deepened. She watched as Kofi began improvising, connecting stories and laughter, allowing the wig to unveil the true essence of those he mimicked. "A sneak peek at my true talents," Kofi joked, slipping into the persona of an elder, his voice low and rumbling. The villagers erupted with laughter, and in that moment, Abena could see Kofi slowly finding a piece of himself, perhaps a piece he never knew was missing. But with every shift in the air, Abena felt the weight of the wig's magic pulse through the night. Her grandmother had often spoken of the ancestral powers tethered to their creations. Wigs that held dreams, memories, and sometimes uncomfortable truths. And as Kofi continued his spirited performance, an idea took root. What if they could explore this deeper? What if the wig offered not only laughter but a chance to mend fractures they did not yet fully understand? "Maybe this is our opportunity to learn," Abena whispered to herself, allowing intrigue to breach the edges of her apprehension. Throughout the evening, as nighttime descended in a tapestry of stars, Kofi found himself stumbling into unexpected echoes of villagers' desires, fears, and long-buried stories. The wig quietly whispered more than just tales. It offered clarity and understanding. Kofi became a repository of everyone he encountered, divulging worries, insecurities, and dreams with each persona he adopted. Finally, as Kofi wrapped up his lively display and the applause filled the air, he turned to Abena, grinning. "What do you think? Can I wear this all the time?" But before she could respond, an elderly woman named Mama Adwoa approached them, a glint of mischief dancing in her eyes. "Abena, I sense something magical about this wig. You should be careful who you lend it to. Powerful things come with great responsibility," she remarked, an aura of wisdom lingering in her tone. Kofi laughed off the warning, swatting his hand dismissively. "It's just a wig, come on. What's the worst that could happen?" Abena frowned, recognizing the gravity behind Mama Adwoa's words, but the girl inside her yearned to see what lay beneath Kofi's carefree exterior. Mama Adwoa continued, "The wig is a vessel, my children. It may reveal truths you aren't ready to accept." And as she moved away, the significance of her words settled on Abena's heart, thick as honey. As the festival cascaded into the night's end, Abena made a silent promise to herself. She would watch over Kofi, guiding him to discover whatever truths the wig unveiled, all while hoping they both emerged from this journey whole. That night, they returned to Abena's salon, the energy still crackling in the air. Kofi, filled with a mixture of exhilaration and curiosity, challenged, "Let's see how deep this goes. We have to explore this magic." "Let's do it together," Abena replied, her resolve strengthening. They would uncover the meaning behind the whispers woven in the curls, but somewhere in her heart, doubt began to unravel. The stage had been set for a journey neither of them anticipated, where laughter would invite tears, dreams would conjure fears, and the bond that tethered their hearts would be tested in ways they had yet to comprehend. Echoes of the past. The next morning, Abena awoke with the sun gently spilling light into her salon, illuminating the art she had meticulously crafted. Yet, amidst the vibrant colors and fragrant oils, her heart felt heavy, echoing with warnings. Kofi's laughter still lingered in her mind, mingled with Mama Adwoa's wise words. "Today is the day we discover the wig's secrets," Kofi proclaimed, entering the salon with an infectious enthusiasm that ignited the air. He was eager, perhaps too eager, cloaked in an energy reminiscent of the festival's vibrancy. Abena was caught between excitement and caution. Shadows of trepidation brushed against her. "Do you really think it has powers?" she asked, carefully pouring a fragrant oil into her palm. "I mean, it was just a fun moment. Everyone had a good time, but..." "Hey!" Kofi interrupted, flashing his charismatic grin. "Why not explore this magic? What if we could take it beyond? What if we could help people open up, heal?" His eyes gleamed, reflecting a tempest of possibilities. She hesitated, biting her lip. What if it brings out things that shouldn't be brought to light? Sometimes the past is better left buried. With a playful roll of his eyes, Kofi stepped forward, grasping her hands. "Trust me. We'll go about it with care. Think of those villagers. Everyone has a story, a pain they carry. Maybe the wig can help them find their voice and reclaim their narrative. It could be a gift. Or a curse," she whispered, releasing his grasp to step toward a nearby mirror, her reflection juxtaposed against the wigs she displayed. "Are we ready for what we might find?" As they stood silently contemplating their next steps, the morning light glinted off the colorful wig, casting ethereal shadows against the wall, and Abena felt a stirring in her heart, a mix of hope and fear. The decision was made. They would experiment with the wig's magic. As they set out to find their first volunteer from the village, Kofi chose a direction based on instinct. "Let's visit Mame Ya. I've heard her stories at the gatherings, and I'm sure she has something to share." Mame Ya lived on the outskirts of the village, known for her warm heart and keen wisdom, although her laughter often masked regrets hidden deep within. They arrived at her humble abode, a cozy enclave surrounded by blooming bougainvillea and sprawling mango trees. "Mame Ya!" Kofi shouted, bustling through the threshold uninvited. "We're here for an adventure." She looked up from her knee-high garden, amusement twinkling in her eyes. "And what mischief are you two scheming today? More hairstyling?" Her laughter evoked warmth throughout the small yard. "Indeed," Kofi declared. "We want to try something fun. Abena has created a magical wig, and we think it might help explore some, hidden stories." "Is that right?" Mame Ya said, excitement danced across her weathered features. "But be careful. The past sometimes walks beside us, shadowing our steps." With Kofi's infectious demeanor, it didn't take long for Mame Ya to agree to try on the wig, amusement battling disbelief etched on her beautifully lined face. What's life without a little fun? Let's see what bubbling stories rise to the surface. Kofi handed her the wig. It felt as if a spark surged through the air. Mame Ya put it on, layers of curls cascading around her face. They waited with bated breath, peering into the depths of her dark eyes as a slight transformation took hold. Suddenly, her expression shifted, and she began recounting her youth with a potent clarity. "Ah, I remember the days in the market, how lively the scents of jerked meat danced around. My heart was full then, filled with dreams of laughter and grandeur. There was a boy." Abena and Kofi exchanged glances, entranced. Mame Ya's voice layered with richness, launching them into tales of passion, resilience, and heartbreak wrapped in the colors of her memories. I left everything behind, she continued, her eyes glimmering with emotions. There was a fire in my heart, a desire for freedom, but I lost parts of me when I became a mother. The responsibilities became chains, and I never quite knew how to dance without them. As each word slipped through her lips, her shoulders began to relax, tension easing as the weight of unexpressed dreams unraveled. Abena felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. This was a glimpse of the magic they had hoped for, a release, a rediscovery. Mame Ya was drinking from the fountain of her own history, and the wig had broken the spell of silence that bound her. "Your stories are beautiful," Abena murmured. "You've lived a full life, Mame Ya. You need not carry that burden alone. Share these tales. Let others learn from the wisdom within them." Their conversation swayed into a rhythm, laughter at the memories mingling with tears, celebrated moments confronting the painful ones. Abena observed as Mame Ya gradually reclaimed pieces of her story, each verse repurposing a forgotten melody echoed across the village landscape. But as the afternoon sun began to dip low, an unsettling chill crept into the air. With each story that unfurled, a sense of urgency tugged at the corners of Abena's mind. She could feel the dancing shadows of the past scratching at the door of each heart. How many more voices lay buried, waiting to be unearthed? Finally, Mame Ya laughed heartily, her spirit lightened, and Kofi beamed with delight. "You've both gifted me today. The wig has opened more than just my memories, it's ignited a spark. I feel renewed." But even as they celebrated, Abena's instincts flared with unease. What new stories would they uncover, and at what cost? "Let's try the wig again tomorrow," Kofi proposed enthusiastically, brushing past her doubts. "We should hear from someone else. This has been exhilarating." As sunset painted the sky, Abena's heart whispered a word of caution, but one thing lingered, a deep desire to weave together both friendship and legacy, to understand what the past could truly mean. Little did they know, hidden within those tales were echoes of pain, and those echoes would soon weave the fabric of their intertwined fate. The weight of secrets. The following week was a flurry of activity, with Kofi and Abena consulting various villagers while explaining the magic of the wig, eager to help uncover buried stories. Word spread like wildfire, and soon, eager participants lined up to share their truths through the enchanting creation. Abena noted the growing excitement within her. Each tale pulled them closer to forging a bond not just with those they helped, but with each other. Yet, as more villagers embraced the wig's power, an undercurrent of anxiety bubbled beneath the surface. They were uncovering memories, yes, but also dredging up emotions that had long been tucked away. This time, they approached Yor, a local fisherman known for his quiet strength and stoic demeanor. During the festival, he had retold heartwarming tales of the sea to the delight of those who listened. Despite his laughter, however, a cloud shadowed his eyes, a hint that he held a deeper sorrow, one that seemed too heavy to bear. "Come on, Yor. We're here for a little adventure," Kofi encouraged playfully, hurriedly ushering him into Abena's salon. The soft, fragrant air shimmered with anticipation. Yor sat down, feigning indifference as Kofi pulled the wig from a shelf, its curls glistening in the light. "This? Just a wig. I'm not sure how these silly tales will change anything." But Abena caught a flicker of curiosity in his gaze. "You might be surprised at what emerges when you wear it," she said gently. Yor relented, albeit begrudgingly, and donned the wig. Almost instantly, his posture shifted. The world around him faded as memories coalesced, flooding his mind. He stared into the mirror, but it wasn't his own reflection he saw. It was the visage of his younger self standing on the edge of the shore, waves crashing rhythmically against his feet. "I'm bound to the sea," he began, his voice stronger than anyone had ever heard. "In my youth, I dreamt of greatness. But the ocean took my brother." His laughter vanished with the rising tide. Shadows coursed over his face as he continued. "Every cast of my net carried the guilt of his loss, a brother who outshone me in every way." Abena felt her breath catch as he spoke. Each word was heavy with emotion, laden with sorrow and regret. "I've spent my life trying to make him proud, yet every catch feels tainted, every fish a reminder that I remained on shore. The sea, once a friend, has become a relentless haunt." Kofi's expression shifted, sympathy coursing through him. "You've carried that weight alone," he said softly. "But it doesn't need to burden you anymore, You can share this weight." As Yor narrated his story, Abena saw glimpses of who he had been long before grief took root. Behind the wall of stoicism was a man brimming with dreams, plans drifting on the horizon like boats waiting to set sail. The wig, it seemed, was illuminating the very depths of his soul, revealing layers he had buried beneath the waves of regret and disbelief. Each truth he unveiled pulled at Abena's heart, her emotions surging. She wasn't merely a witness, but rather an active participant in this unraveling tapestry. "I've hidden my grief," Yor continued, a tremor in his voice, "but I feel him everywhere. The crashing waves, the salty air, the laughter that brushes against my heart. I didn't just lose a brother, I lost a friend, an anchor. What I have left is a memory that holds me hostage." "I can't imagine the pain of that loss," Kofi replied, his tone softening. "But keeping it to yourself isn't living. You can honor his memory by letting it live through you." Yor paused, lowering his gaze. "But how do I reconcile that loss? How do I make peace?" As Abena listened, she felt a sense of clarity wash over her. "By sharing your grief," she proposed gently. "You've shown others who you are through laughter, but don't shy away from revealing your vulnerability. It can be a source of strength, Yor." Slowly, he drew in a deep breath, his chest expanding as if clutching what had long burdened him. "I want to honor him. I want to be whole again." With those words, the power of the wig shifted yet again, weaving a new thread into a fabric long frayed. Yor, the stoic fisherman, closed his eyes for a moment, allowing the warmth of acceptance to drown the sorrow that had been suffocating him. When he removed the wig, sunlight filtered through the window, softening the corners of the salon. The air relieved itself of heaviness, and Yor sat up straighter, an unmistakable resolve igniting within him. "Thank you. You've gifted me something I thought I had lost forever." As he left, Abena and Kofi exchanged glances, a mixture of awe and trepidation cascading between them. They had lifted one layer of Yor's burdens but could only wonder what lay ahead. Every story uncovered a new secret, while new shadows precariously gathered. Later that evening, as they sat together in Abena's salon, her heart beat not just with excitement but the weight of realization. "Kofi, we are unearthing painful truths. How many more stories lie hidden beneath the surface?" "And need to be told," Kofi replied, his brow furrowed in contemplation. Abena felt a shiver skitter down her spine. The thrill of discovering the past had its own dangers, recognizing that the urge to know could become an echo that would resonate beyond their control. "We must tread carefully." With Kofi's laughter fading into the evening air, Abena couldn't shake the feeling that their journey had taken a turn that now demanded more than they could have imagined. Transformative tales would carve deeper paths, and as more layers unraveled, they knew that not every story would be neatly packaged with resolution. And so, the uncertain shadow of what lay ahead shadowed their hearts, a dynamic that now weighed heavily on the threads of their friendship, and soon enough, the fabric of their lives would be tested in unforeseen ways. Beneath the surface. The following days unfolded with a rhythm that was both exhilarating and unsettling. Each village experience shared had its magic, but as the visits continued, Abena sensed a gathering storm, a tension woven tightly within the fabric of their community. It was clear they were tapping into something potent, something that demanded their respect and caution. Next on their list was Afia, a young mother who had always been a whispered subject within the village. Her laughter once filled the air, but it had morphed into hushed tones as heartbreak lingered around her like a lingering shadow. Abena recalled vague snippets of her story, a husband lost too soon, her isolation etched in every wrinkle on her brow. Pain not just from grief but from the societal gaze that scrutinized her every move. "Do you think Afia will be receptive?" Abena asked, glancing hesitantly at Kofi as they made their way to her home. "Sometimes the ones who seem lost need the spark the most. She may surprise us," Kofi assured her, eagerness lighting up his face. "Let's just be gentle. Every story deserves to be heard." When they arrived at Afia's dwelling, Abena felt apprehensive. The small house was adorned with fading beauty, a once vibrant garden now choked with weeds. To her surprise, Afia stood by the doorway, her eyes a mirror of mixed emotions, curiosity tangled with discomfort. "We're here to offer you a journey," Kofi greeted her, his charm wrapped in sincerity. "A chance to share your story. Together we can explore the heart of your experiences." May we? Startled, Afia hesitated. What is it you want from me? Nothing but to lend you our listening ears, Abena interjected, sensing her reluctance. We believe there is beauty in every tale, and perhaps in sharing, we can kindle something that flickers, something that has been lost along the way. Afia's expression softened ever so slightly, as if the walls she built were beginning to crack. Admitting defeat, she nodded. All right. I'll give it a chance, though I don't know how much beauty there is left in me. As they settled inside, it felt as if they were stepping into a sanctuary thick with memories. Afia's modest home was filled with remnants of life that resonated with longing. A child's toy tucked in a corner, and photographs that caught time like moths in amber. Kofi presented the wig, a vibrant cascade of colors. The sunlight danced through the strands, illuminating the space. You might find it liberating, he encouraged. Try it on, see where it takes you. Afia reluctantly accepted the wig, and as it slipped onto her head, a change rippled through the air. Her shoulders straightened, and her gaze sharpened with intensity. I was once filled with dreams, she began, her voice buoyed by the spark of the wig's magic. Before tragedy struck, I lived as a weaver, threading my hopes into the fabric of life. I had big dreams, happiness and a loving marriage. A smile graced her lips, but quickly faded as shadows darkened her eyes. I lost everything. My husband. He was taken from me in an instant, a pain that shattered the tapestry of our family. And in that moment I felt unworthy. Unworthy of love, unworthy of the very air I breathe. As Afia recounted the days following her loss, Abena felt knots twisting within her heart. The whispers that come with being a widow haunt me. People always look at me with pity. I am shamed, as though losing him was a failure on my part. Kofi interjected gently. But you are so much more than the tragedy that befell you. Your spirit, your resilience, it's still here. There's no resilience left, Afia replied, sorrow shadowing her tone. I barely exist. My child Binta deserves more than a lost mother. Her voice broke, and the wig began to tremble. Your story is not over yet, Afia, Abena whispered, heart racing with hope for the woman before her. What you weave now matters. You might feel broken, but maybe, just maybe, you can begin to weave a new narrative. As they spoke, a flicker of light ignited within Afia. The wig captured the energy of her revelations, illuminating the corners of her heart once shrouded in darkness. I want to rise again, she said slowly. To honor him, to reclaim my place in this world. But I fear it may be too late. Kofi smiled, his eyes shining with encouragement. It's never too late. Every day is a new thread. Life is meant to change. It's we who weave its meaning. Slowly, Afia began to imagine the possibilities that lay ahead. She spoke of her desire to teach Binta the art of weaving, teaching her not just to spin threads together but to intertwine dreams and hopes into something beautiful. The tears that flowed down her face were steady, but they sparked a smile of gentle determination. You've helped me see things differently, Afia said, the wig lifting her spirits as well as unraveling the past. It's time to embrace life again. I want to be a beacon of love for Binta. As Afia removed the wig, a weight seemed to lift. The shadows in her home brightened, and a sense of goal ignited her spirit, leaving behind embers of hope lingering in the air. The trio shared laughter, a comforting blend as they celebrated a gentle rebirth and transformation through the depths of vulnerability. Yet as they departed, Abena couldn't shake an eerie feeling buried within. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with an array of colors, Abena sensed that their journey had only begun. In the wake of every story, they had unearthed echoes that could either restore or devastate lives. What uncharted paths lay ahead, shrouded in mysteries they had yet to explore? Little did they know, beneath the surface, secrets entwined with pain awaited, fragile tales needing an audience, aching to break free. In their hearts, Abena and Kofi understood they would soon face the deeper ramifications of their quest, and as the night fell, the winds whispered warnings of shadows looming closer, preparing to unveil what lay beneath. The Unraveling Threads. The following days brought more visitors to Abena's salon, each hopeful gaze eager to share their stories. Kofi and Abena welcomed them with open arms, ready to explore the delicate threads of their lives and the lives left behind. Yet, lurking beneath the buoyancy of every shared laughter and smile, an undercurrent of tension entwined itself within their bond, a discomfort that refused to be silenced. After Afia's transformative experience, a tangible energy lingered in the air, setting the stage for what came next. This time, they invited ESI, a young girl who had recently lost both her parents. Vibrant and full of life, she had become withdrawn since the tragedy, her spirit dulled beneath layers of grief unseen. Abena recalled glimpses of ESI's quick laughter in the village. Now it seemed only echoes remained. "Are you ready to meet ESI?" Kofi asked one morning, as enthusiasm bubbled beneath his facade, clearly excited about helping another soul rediscover herself. "I hope so," Abena replied, anxiety creeping up her spine. "Each story reveals another layer, but what if this one is too heavy?" Kofi shrugged, determination glinting in his eyes. "That's why we're here, right? We'll uncover whatever lies within her. But remember, every thread we pull only strengthens the fabric of our community." When they arrived at ESI's home, the energy felt heavier than before. The door creaked open slightly, revealing a dimly lit interior adorned with the remnants of laughter. The drawings on the walls were still vivid, but the life within them had dulled. ESI stood amidst the shadows, her small frame bearing the weight of the world. "Hi ESI," Kofi said warmly, kneeling to meet her gaze. "We're here to share a journey. Would you like to join us? We have something special for you." ESI's eyes flickered with a mix of caution and hope as she stepped aside, allowing them to enter. The air felt thick with sorrow, and Abena's heart ached for the girl she had once adored, fastened by memories of her childhood laughter. "We have a magical wig," Abena spoke gently. "It can help you reveal memories, stories, and even a little joy. Will you try it?" ESI looked down, her tiny fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "I don't know if it will make a difference. I feel lost," she replied softly, vulnerability etched upon her features. As they encouraged her, ESI quietly donned the wig, the luminous curls falling gracefully around her cheeks. Almost at once, a flicker sparked in her eyes, and she took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the sweetness of memory. "I remember when we danced together," she said, voice wavering, as if testing the waters of recollection. "My parents, they taught me to dance in the rain. We laughed as droplets washed over us. And I remember my mother's smile, how it lit up the world." Tears pooled in ESI's eyes as she continued, "But now, I only see shadows, shadows that chase away my light. It doesn't feel like living anymore. I hate the rain, because it reminds me." Abena felt her throat tighten. She had witnessed so much grief bundled within a child too young to carry its weight. "ESI, those memories are beautiful. Your parents still dance with you, in every puddle, every splash. They are a part of you." Kofi leaned forward. "Can you remember the joy of dancing? Close your eyes and feel it. Let the wig guide you." The room filled with a sudden brilliance. ESI closed her eyes, and for a moment, her heart unlocked. "We'd twirl and spin, weaving stories beneath the clouds. I remember my father's laughter, the way he held my hand as we jumped through raindrops," she said, giggling as she spoke. It allowed a small glimpse of light to pierce through her darkness, illuminating her smile momentarily. But as quickly as the warmth darted through, the shadows returned and consumed her. "But now that joy is lost," ESI's voice turned hollow. "I don't know how to bring it back." The wig seemed to shimmer, swirling softly as if the spirits of her parents danced within. Abena's heart ached for her, recognizing the weight of grief that had buried joy under layers of sadness. "You can honor them, ESI, by remembering them well. Remember their love. They would want you to dance again, to find your happiness." Kofi added, "This isn't a burden you have to carry alone. Those memories are a source of strength. Let's explore them together. Show me how you danced in the rain." Through a blend of encouragement and vulnerability, ESI began to candidly unveil memories that warmed the air. "There was a twirl," she recalled, her eyes closed, her spirit seeming to flutter. "And then, I'd leap into every puddle. I taught my parents how to splash water, and they'd laugh until they cried." As the precious memories unfurled in the salon, the vibrancy of the atmosphere blossomed, laughter fluttering like petals in the wind. Abena watched in awe as ESI began to shimmer with newfound determination, even as threads of grief still tangled around her. But as the laughter wound down, Abena sensed something else stirring beneath the joy. It was a truth unspoken, an unraveling tension lurking in the shadows. What would happen when memories turned painful again? What depths lay hidden within Esi's heart, sewn with threads of trauma? Those smiles are beautiful, Abena murmured, cautious. But what about the pain? What will you do with that? Esi paused, contemplating, and the laughter faded into contemplative silence. As they held that space, the sunlight dipped lower outside, casting shadows that danced across the floor, intertwining with feelings tucked away in Esi's heart. The answers remained elusive, but the promise of healing was gradually emerging. Yet with every unruffled layer, a deeper shadow crawled closer. Abena understood they were at a precipice, waiting for the revelations of the heart to either bind or carry them. With each story shared and each shadow unearthed, their friendship would bend and twist, revealing threads of light but also inviting the darkness that came with uncovering the deepest truths in their village. Shadows and silhouettes. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the afterglow painted the sky in hues of orange and deep indigo. Abena and Kofi left Esi's home, a trail of melancholy shadows following them. They had witnessed another glimpse into the fragile heart of a child, but the deeper question persisted. Would uncovering these truths ultimately heal them or unravel what was already stitched together? The weight of the day settled on Abena's shoulders, and she felt a chill creeping into the evening air. "Do you think we're helping them?" she asked, trying to shake off the ominous feeling. She couldn't help but recall the glints of sorrow that lingered behind Esi's smile and how quickly the depths of pain could reclaim her. Kofi was quiet for a moment, contemplating before he responded. "Every story they share is one less burden to carry alone. Maybe we're not fixing everything, but we're at least offering a hand in their journey. That counts for something, doesn't it?" She marveled at Kofi's optimism, his ability to find silver linings in the darkest of clouds. "You're right. But what if we unwittingly open wounds they don't want to confront? When does helping become harmful?" Kofi sighed, suddenly serious. "That's the risk we take, both for them and ourselves. The stories are all connected, but we have to be prepared for the darkness. We need to face it so we don't become consumed ourselves." As they arrived at Abena's salon, her heart fluttered with uncertainty. Could she truly guide others through their shadows when her own were creeping closer? Behind the vibrant wigs and playful tales lay a philosophical question. How do you weave joy when sorrow mingles in every thread? The following morning felt different. A sense of foreboding wrapped itself around Abena like a shroud as she tried to shake it off. They received news of another villager eager to share their story. This time, it was Samuel, a fisherman whose laughter echoed through the waters, yet who carried with him the burden of disappointment that festered beneath the surface. "Samuel!" Kofi exclaimed, brimming with excitement when they arrived at the docks, the sun glistening on the waves. "What stories will you share with us today?" Samuel grinned, his eyes sparkling with mischief, but beneath the laughter lay a somber truth. As he joined them, the ease began to fade, replaced by a cautious interplay of emotions. "I have stories aplenty," he chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "But I fear they may not interest you." Nudging him playfully, Kofi replied, "Try us. We want to hear everything, including your dreams." "All right, but don't expect any fairy tales," Samuel said, donning the wig with a theatrical flourish. The transformation began, and a hint of tension appeared in his eyes. "All my life I've chased after the sea, the bountiful rewards it offers," Samuel started, his voice wavering slightly. "But it never cared to reciprocate. Every empty net I pulled ashore pressed down on my spirit like an anchor in the deep. I guess I've come to learn something about dreams being as elusive as waves." Abena felt her heart ache, recognizing the familiar shadows mirrored within him. "Every empty net you pull may feel like a failure," she encouraged, "but doesn't every fisherman have their off days?" Samuel chuckled, but his laugh was hollow. "You don't understand. I once had vision, goals, hopes. Then life took my brother, too." His words hung in the weighty air, echoing the shared pain they had encountered before. "The sea consumed him. I thought I could keep them safe, provide, and be the best." "What does being the best mean to you?" Kofi interrupted. "I've lost the joy of fishing," he confessed, shadows encircling him like a tempest. "I fear letting my family down. I fear that if I really let go, like my brother did, I will drown forever." As emotion washed over Samuel, they witnessed his struggle to balance the laughter of his past with the sorrow of his reality. Abena's heart twisted, She could see him caught in a crippling cycle, unsure whether more memories would bring healing or pain. Let it out, Kofi suggested gently. What does your heart really want? What would it mean to fish again, even if the net returns empty? Freedom, Samuel breathed, his voice cracking. The waves had my brother, but they can't take who I am. I want to establish a market for the catch I bring in. It's just the pressure to succeed feels like an anchor I can't lift. The air was thick with vulnerability as Samuel wrestled between the contradictions of spirit and despair, revealing layers of shame bound to his identity. Abena could feel the familiar pang reflecting in herself, a reminder of the fears that often held her back from stepping into the light. Establishing a market for your dreams is brave, Abena said softly, but you must be clear of the expectations that swirl around you. By sharing your fears, you can transform them into stepping stones. A silence enveloped them, heavy yet hopeful. Slowly, Samuel removed the wig, a semblance of light shining through the clouds of despair. Thank you, he whispered, his heart genuine, unexplained strength filling the void that once suffocated him. However, as Samuel departed, Abena couldn't shake the unease. The threads of courage they sought to weave tangled with reticence, a back-and-forth dance between light and shadow, hope and fear. She was terrified by how deeply intertwined their stories had become, and yet she longed to unravel the shadows enclosing her heart. The day folded into twilight, casting long silhouettes across the salon floor, and Abena felt a soft weight on her chest. With every tale told, each revelation was woven not only into the fabric of their village but within the depths of their beings, challenging their laughter, their grief, and the very essence of healing. As the evening darkened, she pondered how many shadows still danced near and how they would bravely confront whatever might come next. The journey toward healing always came with uncertainty, and it was slowly becoming clear how intertwined their paths would become, woven tightly together amidst sorrow, resilience, and the spirit of community. The pull of the tide. With each passing day, the atmosphere in Abena's salon shifted. The laughter that once echoed between Kofi and Abena now bore a tint of uncertainty. As more villagers came to share their stories, an unsettling weight settled over them, an unspoken fear that the truths they unearthed could lead to consequences far beyond what they anticipated. The stories began to weave an intricate tapestry, each thread vibrant with color but also shadowed by darkness. Abena worried that the very act of sharing was the catalyst for deeper pain. As much as they aimed to illuminate lives, the shadows lurking behind the light grew more pronounced. Today's visitor was Afia, joyously anticipating a new chapter in her life. In the aftermath of her previous revelation, she had geared herself towards weaving not just textiles but her story into a tapestry for her child Binta. The thought of their reunion rejuvenated her spirit, and Kofi and Abena welcomed her into the warmth of the salon. "Welcome back, Afia." Kofi greeted her enthusiastically, his face brightening the already welcoming space. "I feel different this time," Afia replied, her countenance glowing, her eyes gleaming with an almost tangible light. "My heart feels lighter. I've discovered a dream I want to share." "Let's hear it," Abena encouraged, her heart fluttering with a hint of nervousness. "Binta and I are going to open a small shop where we can sell woven pieces, each design inspired by the stories of our village. I want her to understand that every piece of art carries meaning, joy, sorrow, love, and history. I want to celebrate life." Her words poured out like a waterfall, the excitement in her voice contagious. "That sounds incredible," Kofi exclaimed, clapping his hands together. "You are paving the way for yourself and for Binta." "But," Afia tilted her head slightly, a question lingering just beneath her smile. "But what?" "But you haven't faced the fears that still lie beneath the surface. Remember, the weight of grief doesn't disappear just because we create something new. You may encounter those shadows again." Afia's eyes clouded momentarily. "I know, but I feel transformed. I understand now that pain is part of the beauty of the tapestry. It just takes time to become one with it." With determination lighting her face, Afia slipped the vibrant wig onto her head, and a hush fell over the room. The transformation took mere seconds, and soon enough, Afia's voice echoed like a melodious wind carrying letters across the waves. "There was always magic in weaving," she began, her fingers dancing as though they held the threads of life. "I once learned it from my mother, how to listen to the yarn, feel its rhythm. Each piece of cloth absorbed the hopes and dreams of its maker. My mother always told me, to weave is to live is to weave. As Afia spoke, the memories danced vividly before them, a kaleidoscope of colors intertwining. Those years were filled with laughter and hardships, and I felt connected to life. Every knot a symbol of resilience. Kofi and Abena exchanged glances, allowing Afia's voice to pull them into a shared memory. But just as quickly, her smile faltered. But after losing my husband, I lost that connection. I felt as if the threads had been ripped away. I saw weaving as a reminder of what I no longer had, a chasm that swallowed my spirit. Behind Afia's eyes, Abena glimmered with understanding. But you've reclaimed that connection, haven't you? You're ready to face the pain, to weave anew. Yes, I'm ready, Afia declared, her voice resonating with newfound bravery. Life's threads are ever-changing. Each weaving sequence becomes a new chapter, and my story doesn't stop here. I want to celebrate and to honor my husband while embracing a future with Binta. And in that instant, like the whisper of a gentle breeze, Abena felt a shift in the air, the pull of the tide as it softly ebbed and flowed. Afia's resolve illuminated the room, and laughter began to flow, blending past and present into something breathtakingly beautiful. But just as she prepared to remove the wig, a shadow crossed her face, and the tension returned. What if I lose that connection again? What if my past haunts me when the memories surface? Kofi reached out, taking her hand. You won't. Remember that the journey involves both celebration and sorrow. You can shape the narrative even when it feels frail. Afia smiled, holding each word carefully like a skein of thread, almost tangible with promise. You're right. My past can enrich my present. I don't need to be afraid of facing what I carry. As Afia prepared to remove the wig, laughter again filled the salon. But beneath the surface of joy, a quiet unease lingered. Abena could feel the tides shifting, and with each wave of emotion that washed over them, a storm gathered, churning in the depths. Abena reflected on their journey thus far, the shadows that lurked and the hearts they had mended, but doubt gnawed at her. With each piece of healing, what was left unhealed remained to be addressed. Perhaps the stories they uncovered revealed more than just individual truths. Perhaps they unearthed connections only understood once the darkness emerged. Later that evening, as the setting sun cast long shadows stretching across the land, Abena realized the stories unraveling were more entangled than she had anticipated. The deeper they delved, the closer the village came to confronting its shared burdens. The echoes of heartache and loss looming nearby, ready to rise above the narratives that had been laid bare. And as she drifted off to sleep that night, Abena pondered the lingering embrace of the tide, wondering how long it would be before they would confront the greatest challenge yet, the storm that danced just beyond the horizon, waiting to meet them head-on. The gathering storm. The next day arrived cloaked in thick grey clouds, an ominous reflection of Abena's inner turmoil as she prepared for another visitor. As she and Kofi tidied the salon, the air buzzed with unspoken worries. Whispers of trepidation circulated. The villagers had shared much, but the weight of those unrefined truths had morphed into tangible dread hovering above them. Do you sense that? Abena asked, glancing through the window. The horizon was dark, clouds swirling like a tempest brewing on the cusp of chaos. Yeah, it's unusual for this time of year, Kofi replied, a frown etched across his brow. But maybe that's what we need, a storm to shake things up. Or a storm that threatens to tear us apart, Abena countered, her voice soft but laced with concern. It makes me think of how we're unraveling these stories without fully understanding the consequences. I get it, but we also can't shy away from the truth, Kofi replied, determined. Each tale has value, and the storms that tear at us sometimes clear the path for new growth. As they awaited the arrival of their next guest, Abena felt the atmosphere intensify, an unshakable energy thriving beneath the surface. Moments later, a knock at the door jolted them. It was Serwa, a solitary figure known for her aloofness and deep frowns, earning her the title of the village recluse. As she stepped inside, her eyes darted about, cautious and wary. "Thank you for seeing me," she murmured, almost inaudibly. "Of course, Serwa." Kofi greeted her, offering a warm smile. "We're here to listen, as always." Serwa hesitated, her fingers trembling. "I don't know if you'll want to hear my story," she whispered, voice laced with apprehension. "Every story matters, no matter how small," Abena assured her, inviting Serwa to sit. "You have a place here." As she settled, Sowa gazed at the vibrant wigs crowding the room, contemplating the stories woven within them. She lifted her chin and began, "I used to be filled with dreams. I had friends, a lively heart, and I believed I could be anything. Since my family's tragedy, the shadows have swallowed me." Kofi leaned closer, absorbing the words with empathy. "What tragedy?" "My sister," Sowa replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "She fell victim to the river's pull, an accident. I was there, and I've lived with the weight of helplessness as the river carried her away." Tears glistened in her eyes, and her voice choked with agony. "But those words don't reflect the truth. I didn't try hard enough." "Sowa, you cannot shoulder that burden alone," Kofi stated, disbelief lacing his voice. "Accidents happen beyond our control. But I was meant to protect her. I could have saved her if I had just," she faltered, gripping the edges of her chair as if it could anchor her to the moment. Abena felt her heart ache for Sowa, understanding too well the power of loss that haunted a person. "You must let it out, Sowa. The weight of guilt can crush your spirit. Speak your truth, it can lift the fog lurking nearby." With trepidation, Sowa donned the delicate wig, and a flicker of hope ignited in the depths of her eyes. "What if it pulls me further into despair?" "Only if you allow that to happen. Let the wig guide you toward your truth," Kofi encouraged. Exhaling shakily, Sowa began to unravel her tale as if peeling away layers rotten with neglect. "I remember that day perfectly. The sun shone brightly, a perfect day filled with laughter. My sister and I raced to the river, and I felt invincible." Her fingers grazed the fibers of the wig, as if seeking answers woven into its strands. "But then, I turned away to grab my things, and she was gone. Swallowed by the current. I should have been there. I should have saved her. Instead, I lost everything." As she continued, memories surged forth like the torrent of water that had claimed her sister. Laughter turned to silence as grief spilled forth. "Ever since, I cloaked myself in shadows, thinking if I could just vanish, maybe I could reunite with her." Tears streamed down her cheeks, and the room felt suffocating, wrapped in the clutches of sorrow. There was no stopping the torrent, even as Abena and Kofi offered validation. "You didn't fail her," Abena whispered, voice shaky but firm. "Don't you see? You were a child too. What happened was an accident, not a reflection of your worth." Sowa sobbed, her heartbreaking agony resonating within the room. "But I'm tired of living in this shadow. I want to emerge, but I can't. The guilt anchors me down. I am haunted." Stealing her resolve, she pulled the wig off and looked around the room, desperation spilling from her words. "Will I ever find peace? Will I ever forgive myself?" Kofi stepped forward, his eyes steady and compassionate. "Forgiveness is a process, and it doesn't mean forgetting. It means recognizing the weight you carry and choosing to light your path forward. Embrace the light, Sowa, allow it to gleam through the darkness." Abena joined Kofi, feeling the emotional storm that had gathered. "You are not alone. We are by your side. Let the river's current carry your sister's spirit toward the light while you reclaim your own. It's time to let her go and begin anew." Sowa gazed at them, her expression softening amid the raw pain. "Can I really learn to live like that? To feel again?" "From the depths of despair comes an unwavering strength," Abena affirmed. "Let your sister's love guide you, and together, we can wrestle with the storm that threatens your spirit." As Sowa slowly nodded, a flicker of hope shimmered in her eyes. The storm clouds outside rolled ominously, but within the realms of the heart, a new dawn began to emerge. A dance between shadows and light, all while the tides of healing shifted with every word spoken. But even as their collective voices resonated with newfound vulnerability, Abena sensed the approaching storm. The rain was relentless, pounding against the earth, a reminder that the far-reaching echoes of grief would always remain intertwined, threatening to drown them in the ebb and flow of buried emotions. Sowa stood at a precipice, the swell of her sorrows waging war against the light. With every revelation, Abena knew that navigating the turbulent waters ahead would require more than courage. It would take resilience and communal strength to label the storm, to face the wildness within, and to reclaim the heart where memories lingered. Unpacking the past. The storm broke that night, drenching the land with relentless rain, washing away the remnants of sorrow but also stirring up fresh feelings from the depths of their hearts. Abena lay awake, feeling the rhythm of droplets tapping against the roof as if echoing the thoughts tumbling through her mind. Kofi, restless beside her, finally broke the silence. "Do you think we're making a difference?" he asked, his voice strained with uncertainty. "Or have we just sparked a wave of pain people weren't ready to confront?" "I don't know," Abena admitted. "Each revelation seems like a step towards healing, but it also feels like an unearthing of buried burdens they've been carrying for so long. The heavier the truth, the more shadowy repercussions we might face." "We knew this journey wouldn't be easy," Kofi reminded her softly. "But every story shared is another thread woven into the fabric of our community, connecting us all, a reminder that we are not alone. If we allow ourselves to process the pain, something beautiful can emerge." As the storm raged on outside, Abena could sense the turmoil brewing inside, not just for her and Kofi but for the entire village. They had set the wheels in motion. The villagers were beginning to confront truths that had been hidden beneath years of silence. Yet, the fear loomed. What if the very act of facing those truths threatened to tear everything apart? The dawn brought clarity but also concern. After the rain had passed, the village emerged renewed and glistening, seemingly transformed by the cleansing ritual the storm had offered. Yet, a weight hung in the air, palpable and foreboding, a nervous energy that crept into every corner of Abena's mind. The next day was pivotal, as they had scheduled a gathering of those who had shared their stories thus far. Afia, Kofi, Esi, Yor, and Sowa, all ready to explore the threads tying their narratives together. As the villagers began to arrive, Abena's heart raced uncontrollably, fueled by a mixture of excitement and fear. "Let's create a story circle," Kofi suggested, turning his infectious energy toward transforming the salon into a safe space. "We'll share experiences, help one another piece together our journeys." Setting up the gathering, Abena felt every eye watching her, seeking reassurance. She welcomed the group with a smile, but even her outward composure barely masked her inner storm. "Thank you all for coming," Abena began when they settled in a circle, the energy cozy yet charged. "Today is about connection. We've all walked our paths and faced struggles, and sharing those stories can help us see the beauty in our lives and how we can weave them together." Kofi took a deep breath, his eagerness shining through. "I'd love for us to start with what brought us here. Each story is an opportunity to learn, to heal together. So, let's open the floor." Afia began, her voice steady. "I've realized how important it is to celebrate the heritage our stories create. I want to weave my past with the present for Binta, so she understands the strength in vulnerability. By sharing our experiences, we give her hope." One by one, their voices floated free, stirring passionately as the tales danced around the circle. Esi spoke of rediscovering the joy of life through memories of her parents, while Yor embraced the challenges of fishing, reflecting on the laughter he once held and how he could carry it forward. When it was Sowa's turn, her normally timid demeanor buzzed with newfound energy. "I've hidden my pain, thinking I wouldn't be strong enough, but being here among you has shown me I can shift the narrative. I carry the love for my sister, but I refuse to let loss define my existence." Abena's heart soared with pride at the power of community before her, but just as the warmth enveloped them, the shadows began to weave their way into the circle. It was clear that the deeper they delved into their stories, the more the weight of past traumas began to seep out, clinging to the edges of their words. As the conversation ebbed and flowed, she noticed confusion ripple across Esi's face as she hesitated to speak. "What if sharing my story brings back all the pain? What if it makes it worse?" "Sharing is meant to liberate us, not bind us," Kofi assured her. "But it's okay to want to take baby steps. You're in control of what you share, and we're all here to embrace you no matter what." The storm outside had subsided into a gentle drizzle, the rhythm of rain now a soothing backdrop for their exchange. One by one, they breathed deeply, reclaiming the parts they felt were lost, slowly unraveling moments cloaked in uncertainty. Abena felt her own resolve rising with each confession, lifting the weight resting on her chest. "I want to share something too. I have fears, of failing this village, of not being enough to carry their stories. But I know that uncovering truth isn't always pretty. It's messy, chaotic, and incredibly important." Kofi met her gaze, his eyes full of support. "And it's okay to feel that way, Abena. You provide a space for healing, and everyone contributes to that, including you." Drawing upon the courage shared in the circle, Abena took another deep breath, her heart echoing the combined rhythms of their journeys. This was what connection should feel like, a web of souls entwined in both shadow and light, a journey navigated collectively. As the gathering wound down, they sat in reflective silence, the rain outside turning into a melodic whisper. Somehow, the words exchanged shifted the atmosphere within the room, their lives intricately linked in a way that promised understanding, healing, and above all, love. But even amidst the flickers of hope igniting their hearts, the challenge remained. How could they continue to emerge into the world, embracing both their shadows and light? Abena understood this was only the beginning, and the storm lay ahead, a reminder that while healing might be within reach, the journey through the storm would take each of them deeper into the heart of their intertwined fates. Echoes of change. The next morning broke with a crystalline clarity, the remnants of yesterday's storm gradually fading into the past. The village of Adumasa emerged, washed anew, but beneath the surface, the threads of change continued to resonate. The gathering had shifted more than just perspectives. It had sparked a movement toward healing, leaving everyone inspired yet unsettled. Abena stood in her salon, fingers tracing the smooth fabric of the wigs displayed like vibrant portraits telling tales untold. Kofi arrived, his energy palpable, reflecting the vividness of the world outside. "I feel it," he exclaimed, his voice laced with excitement. "The village is buzzing. I think we've ignited something amazing." "I wish I felt as enthusiastic," Abena confessed, the words tumbling from her lips. "I can't shake this feeling that many are grappling with shadows, but we've just scratched the surface." "Then let's dig deeper," Kofi proposed, determination etched on his face. "Maybe it's time to delve into the stories we've withheld, the lingering resentment, pain, and regrets. Change requires courage, and we have to face those echoes to find our way through." Before Abena could reply, the door opened, and ESI stepped in, her demeanor bright yet tentative. "Hi everyone," she chirped, a shy smile playing on her lips. "After our meeting yesterday, I got inspired. I want to organize a community event to celebrate everything we've shared so far. Just like Afia said, I want to celebrate hope, life, and memory." "Wow, that's a fantastic idea," Kofi exclaimed, clapping his hands in excitement. "When do we start?" ESI hesitated, nibbling her lip. "I was thinking we could set it up for next weekend. It'll be a chance to bring everyone together, share our stories, maybe even showcase some of our art. But I need help. I don't know if I can pull it all together by myself." "I'll help you," Abena said quickly, her heart lifting at the prospect of community, of embracing stories while weaving new connections. "Let's make this happen." As they spoke, the mood shifted. Abena began to feel the thrill of optimism coursing through her veins, a spark ignited amidst the air of possibility. "And we can reach out to others. Everyone who shared their life with us deserves a platform to showcase their journey." They spent the morning brainstorming ideas, filling the space with sketches and notes as the radiant energy engulfed them. Soon, Afia, Serwa, and Yor joined, adding their visions and hopes for the event. Together, they began to create something magical, a communal celebration wrapped around the threads of their intertwined experiences. As the week unfolded, Abena found herself invigorated by the bonds forming among the villagers. They worked tirelessly, inviting individuals to share their stories, their art, and their dreams. There was an infectious spirit that carried the group through long hours of preparation, illuminating the beauty within their vulnerabilities. Abena could feel the fears dissipating like the storm clouds that had once hung over their village, replaced by vibrant colors that painted a future where connection thrived. Yet, despite the energy surrounding her, an undercurrent of anxiety persisted. What if the event didn't go as planned? What if sharing these stories stirred up more pain than healing? The night before the event, Abena sat alone, revisiting the threads of her own unshared sorrows. She held her grandmother's old journal, filled with the fabric of tales that had shaped her journey. The pages unfolded stories of relentless struggle, of a grand matriarch who had faced storms in her own right. It occurred to Abena that perhaps she was ready to share her own experience, to reclaim her voice among the rich tapestry of those in her village. As the sun rose on the day of the event, the village bustled with anticipation. Colorful banners hung in the square, fluttering in the gentle breeze, while the scent of freshly made dishes filled the air. Abena could hear laughter blending with the sound of music, the warmth of community wrapping around her. "Are you ready for this?" Kofi asked, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "I am," she replied, though beneath the surface, a tempest brewed. "Whatever happens, I know I want to share my story today. I think it's time." The square swelled with activity as villagers gathered, the spirit of connection urging them forward. ESI greeted everyone warmly, rallying the crowd, her voice like a sweet melody lifting their spirits higher. They had turned pain into promise, darkness into light. As the time arrived for sharing, Abena stepped to the center of the gathering, all eyes upon her. "Today, we celebrate each other," she began, her heart racing as she faced the crowd. "We are more than our sorrow. We are a community woven together by love, struggle, and hope." As she spoke, an undeniable strength filled the air, and for the first time, she felt free to express parts of herself she had once kept hidden. Abena peeled back layers of her heart, unveiling the tales of her grandmother, the wisdom that shaped her. She revealed her fears and love for her village, connecting every thread to the stories that fluttered around her. The crowd listened intently, waiting for every word to sink in, feeling her courage igniting something deep within each of them. "Let's embrace our echoes," she concluded, "for they carry the essence of who we are. Together, let's mend the ties that bind us, face our shadows, and celebrate the resilience that makes us vibrant." With each story shared and echoed back, Abena felt the currents of transformation ripple through her. And as the gathering swelled with warmth and understanding, she realized the event would not only showcase the changes within individuals, but collectively weave their experiences into something profoundly beautiful. Yet even as the sun shone brightly in the sky, illuminating their joy, Abena could not shake the feeling that this celebration, while precious, was merely the beginning of a greater journey. A journey that would inevitably lead them into the heart of their deepest fears, poised at the edge of the unknown and the profound revelations waiting to unfold. The ties that bind. The vibrant energy of the celebration enveloped the village, wrapping the air in fragrant aromas and the harmonious laughter of families reconnecting. Abena felt a warmth spreading through her, fueled by hope as she caught sight of familiar faces. The event stood as a testament to their collective courage, an amalgamation of stories now swirling around them like colorful threads in a grand tapestry. As she and Kofi navigated through the crowd, Abena let the sounds wash over her. "Look at everyone," she whispered, awe shimmering in her eyes. "They're smiling, sharing laughter. They're truly celebrating each other." "It's incredible," Kofi agreed, beaming with joy. "And the best part? You sparked this light, Abena. You opened the door for others to share their journeys." Finding a corner of the square, ESI sat with a group of children, encouraging them to capture their hopes on colorful paper, while Afia demonstrated the art of weaving using delicate thread. Laughter rang out as each child wove their dreams into shimmering patterns, their innocence illuminating the space around them. Finally, Serwa stepped forward, a shy smile gracing her face as she prepared to share her story. "I've carried my burden for long enough," she confessed, her voice trembling with emotion. "But today, I choose to let it go. I realize now that what I share is not only for me but for everyone who holds similar pain." The crowd quieted, anticipation dancing in the air as Serwa recounted her connection with her sister. The vibrant tales of laughter from their childhood, the curling waves of their shared dreams, and ultimately, the tragedy that had forced her into silence. "I live in those shadows no more," she declared with newfound fervor. "Their echoes will remain with me, but I will not allow them to dictate my future." Abena could feel the room exhale softly, a collective sigh of relief that flowed through the crowd as they embraced Serwa's courage. The moment was one filled with an indescribable magic, the notion that vulnerability could intertwine with strength, sparking a beacon of hope. In the center of it all, Kofi stood tall, looking at the gathering and unable to restrain his excitement any longer. "Who's next?" he called out, lifting his hands as if inviting the universe to respond. "Let's keep this flame alive." One by one, villagers took turns sharing their experiences, their narratives weaving through the fabric of their lives, and with it, a deeper understanding formed. The understanding that they shared not only their burdens but also their aspirations. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of gold and lavender, Abena felt the warmth pulsating in the air. They had ventured beyond simple storytelling. They were in the midst of a transformation, one that illuminated their spirits and united their hearts. Hours passed, and as the final stories drew near, Abena took a moment to breathe, her heart full as she glanced around at the mesmerizing connections forming. Yet, just as pride filled her, anxiety once again pricked at her consciousness. Kofi leaned toward her. "What's on your mind?" "This is all so beautiful, but I can't shake the feeling that we've only just begun to explore these layers of vulnerability," she muttered, anxiety swirling within. "What will happen when we leave this space? The weight of unresolved feelings may come crashing back." He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "But Abena, we've started a ripple effect. Communities are built on stories, and now that we've opened the door, we have the tools to carry this forward. This moment doesn't end today, it's only the beginning." Just then, Afia's voice rang out from the center of the crowd. "Let's take a moment to express our gratitude to Abena and Kofi. They've shown us how powerful our voices can be." As the crowd erupted into applause, Abena's heart swelled, charging her with an overwhelming sense of spirit. In sharing her own journey, she realized her vulnerability had transformed into the strength of community. She could breathe easier. The burden she had carried was now woven into the threads of their shared experience. "Thank you all," she said, her voice steady as she stepped forward. "Each of you carries a piece of my heart, and together, we are creating a new story. A story that celebrates our resilience, our interconnectedness, our triumphs, and our struggles." A glance around the crowd revealed tears glinting in the eyes of several villagers, expressions of vulnerability that blossomed into newfound hope. Abena understood in that moment that healing was not linear, it would come and visit in waves. As the sun set, and twinkling lights began to adorn the square, Abena noted the shadows beginning to stretch long. With the night falling, she felt a surge of warmth around her, a connection that remained unbreakable despite the myriad challenges ahead. From that day forward, the village of Adumasa began a journey of communal healing, embracing raw truths while intertwining them with hope. The storms they faced would still come, but now they had the collective fortitude to stand together. Hearts open, hands joined, moving forward into the embrace of the unknown. And as they celebrated under the shimmering stars that blanketed the sky, Abena knew their stories would continue to flourish, woven together in a tapestry of shared humanity. A narrative that bound them stronger than any sorrow, resonating with unconditional love, and whispering promises of brighter tomorrows.